Are you tired of people always telling you what you want to hear and not what you need to hear? Me too. Are you ready to actually do something about it? Hi, I'm Loren Lahav, and for the past 30 plus years, I've been blessed to speak and to impact thousands of people around the world. I've shared the stage with the world's top thought leaders, including Barbara Walters, Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran, and Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm also a personal development, lifestyle, and business coach, event producer, and entrepreneur with businesses in over 25 countries. I'm a wife and a proud mama to 3 and a bonus mom to 1. Trust me when I tell you, it took me many years of buying into my old story of I'm not enough and lots of grit to finally let go of the BS. So I understand firsthand what it means and what it took. They don't call it the school of hard knocks for nothing. This podcast is my way of breaking down the BS filters of what we say, what we do, and how we interact with others. I will be sharing what worked for me, yet more importantly, what didn't work for me. This is a no fluff podcast where we will address real life issues that seem to surface when you least expect it, relationship conflict and breakdowns, and real solutions. I will share from my life experiences and those of other everyday heroes, as well as the world's top experts, are all here to help you grow through the process of letting go and finally expressing your true voice, who you are and what you stand for. In a world of political correctness and living our lives on social media, it's hard to know what is real. And are you taking in so much information but not applying what you've learned? In my life, I always look to the people who understand what I'm going through and are willing to get honest and forthcoming with me to help me grow through these challenges. Trust me, I've had them all, and I'm going to take the time to be as real as possible and get to solutions. I've had financial issues, parenting issues, marriage issues, emotional issues. You know, the list goes on. I've learned from my challenges, I've grown from them, and continue to learn from them. I see them now as opportunities. With this podcast, we're going to tune up our lives. I'll be your cup of espresso to get you through whatever you're going through in your life that's holding you back, to give you that confidence and trust of knowing someone is there to help and guide you, yet you have to do the work. So strap in, hang on tight, and let's get real. I love that she happened to be here in town where I finally got to meet you. I mean, there is so much to say about you, but I just want to say to the world, I am so happy I got to actually meet you in person before the event. You know, I mean, because there's something about, you know, just that belly to belly, as we say, that creates a whole different connection than anything. And just seeing you with the amazing people that you're putting together the other event with, and just seeing their hearts and just seeing the camaraderie and just how real and raw that you are. I fell in love with you. What can I say?
And that's it's funny because I forgot that we really didn't meet in real life, because Zoom feels like real life to me, because sometimes that's all we get to do. But when I got to, you know, feel you, it was just amazing. I love that.
And you know, what's also crazy is that we didn't know we were at the same event, at the same dinner table. But you were one end of the dinner table, and I was at the other end of the dinner table. And the only reason that I knew that you were in town was because the girl that I had invited to the cheer awards for that year, she was sitting beside me. And then you had posted, Michelle had posted something that she was with you. I'm like, what are you doing in town?
I know, right? You texted me and you're like, wait, what do you do? Are you here? I'm like, yes, I am.
So anyway, you all, if you don't know who she is, you will by the end of my intro of who she is. So Melissa Gisoni, she's a well-known American reality star who became famous for participating in the series Dance Moms with her 2 beautiful daughters, Maddie and Mackenzie. And what I love, it was exactly what Lila said about you, is just like, you are the real deal, right? You weren't going to compromise your integrity just because of being on that show. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, you know, when we got cast onto the show Dance Moms, it was called Just Dance originally, and it was a docuseries. So back then, docuseries, you thought, they said, oh, they're just going to follow you and your kids at dance competitions. We're like, oh, that's super fun. Then we come to find out they changed it to Dance Moms. We were just these moms from Pittsburgh that really didn't know what we signed, honestly. We filmed 6 episodes and we were like, this is not what we thought. And then the show blew up. And then they were trying to, produce. They have producers of the show. And of course, they wanted the drama. And they made it like Maddie was getting all these secret, super privates when, all the mothers knew about it. Some things they didn't know about, but it was quite funny. And they wanted me to lie. And I just wouldn't. And people still call me a liar from the show, which I think is funny because I'm like, no, I didn't do what this mom is saying I did. And I stood my ground and said, no, I didn't, and the one episode was funny. They handed a letter to all the moms to say I was suing them. I never sued the moms. And people thought I actually sued my friends, which I think is funny. And to this day, I think people still think that, which is, it's quite funny. But I'm friends with a lot of the moms, and we actually have a podcast because mom said so. 4 of us moms, and I actually filmed, we did 3 today, fabulous mothers, but we all stand up for our kids. But my kids are number 1 to me. And that is integrity is everything. And being,
and that's what I saw. That's what I saw when I met you. We had an amazing call, I think that the very first time. And I know your girls are celebrities in their own rights. And you've done such a beautiful job of just, the sacrifices that you made for your kids. But you're amazing. And you're like, I know that you come from humble backgrounds as well. And the contribution is huge on your list. That it's all about contribution. But what would you say you learned from that experience? Because a lot of people during that would, don't come back as strong like that. They felt like that they got beat up and they can't get back because of that. What did you learn from that?
Well, I feel like you have to really forgive yourself for decisions that you made in the past. Because, I'm really grateful for the show. And people say, oh, you're not grateful that you had that opportunity. Absolutely. I'm grateful because my kids wouldn't be where they are today without it. However, I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago, 25 years ago. At this age, I'm 54 and I am so strong. I never thought I would say that. My best friend, Holly, has taught me so much about being a strong woman and standing up for myself. I come from a Catholic family that, that it's kind of like the dad kind of rules, basically right. Back then. Right. It's not like that anymore. Oh my gosh, I have the best husband. But I think you need to really forgive yourself for your past and things you change. You go through seasons of life. And don't mess with this girl now.
So I love that you said that. And I love talking about the seasons, right? Because we're going to go through seasons in our health. We're going to go through seasons in our relationships, right? We're going to go through seasons in just who we are as people. And like you said, the seasons, they're going to happen no matter what, right? You can't change the seasons. So how do you embrace those seasons at all of those different times? So, okay, how in the heck, why did you even did you dance? What made you want to even, how did it all happen just with regards to Dance Moms in general?
Well, I always wanted to dance, but my parents couldn't afford it. So, when my girls were little, Maddie was put in dance at 2 and Mackenzie at 18 months, just for fun. It was just a fun thing. And I worked at the dance studio. I say worked because I didn't get paid, but I loved being at the dance studio. It helped with tuition. And then the show just came about after they danced there for many, many years. Just an audition came to the studio and that's what happened. They were going to go all around the country to get different kids from different studios, but they liked all of our dynamics at our studio. So that's how it began.
Isn't that awesome? It's like one decision. We always talk about how one decision can change your life. Right?
Absolutely.
And like you said, how many people you went there, your intention was just so that your girls could dance and that you could get the tuition. So you're like, oh, I'll just work here. right? So question for you, when you talk about going through those different seasons in your life, I know you met your husband, Greg, right? Tell me about that and what was going on at that time in your life. And you, and where you just, I know that he adores you and that you just adore him. Yes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's really cute because the other day, my Mackenzie, it's his stepkids are my kids. She looked at him and said, "You're the real deal, Grega." They call him Grega because he's such a good dad to them. He came into my life when I was going through a divorce, and he was kind of like my knight in shining armor, basically. He accepted my kids, and my kids just adored him. Actually, Maddie didn't like him at first for like the first couple times because she was just like, "Who's this guy?" But he has been their dad. I mean, he's their stepdad, but he has been their support system, paid for all the dance for many, many years, been the dance dad, been to every competition. He's just fabulous. So I'm really, really blessed to have a good husband. I mean, of course, he drives me crazy, just like your husband does.
Yes, of course. But it's like you said, though, like it's that there's this part that as if they were their own blood, and just really being there. There's something about the presence of just being there and knowing that they're there. So I have a question. What for you, you're going to be with us at Own Your Worth. And I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited. I think we talked for 2 hours before then Joelle first introduced us and we were outside just talking about just all that you have been through. But tell us a little bit about what you do. I know your handwritten notes and all that you do in the community and why for you that is a non-negotiable for you, that part of contribution.
So I think that it's really, I feel like I learned to trust my gut. Okay. I used to be so afraid to do something that I was really passionate about. So a few years ago, my mom never had anything, but she gave the last quarter in her purse to people walking on the street, always. And I remember that as a young child. And she passed away 26 years ago. And she is my heart. I mean, I am my mom. And I always wanted to give back to the community in any way I can. And I've been volunteering at nursing homes. I used to take the girls for years. We would go when they were little. They would tap dance. We would bring Play-Doh. But, it just gave me such a satisfaction to see people smile. And then with the situation, with the homeless situation, there's so many people that are food insecure right now. I mean, it is, I forget it's million, like 15 million people are food insecure. It's terrible. So, I feel that it's my part to do what I can to help, even if it's only 300 people a week. But it is non-negotiable for me. Everything that I do, I think about the people on the street. And when I see a family on the street, I'm like, how long are you going to be here? Can I take you grocery shopping? And, you can, right. And what's really important, I feel, when people say, why do you always feed homeless people? Or why do you give them things? I'm like, first of all, don't question it. My mom always said, don't question someone that has their hand out. If you can help them with the hand out, help them. Help them, because you're going to, if you help just one person a day, feed their belly, I mean, not be insecure about food that day, or go help their family, do it.
It's so interesting. When I was going through my divorce, I think a lot of people also make assumptions about people just because they look like everything's okay, that everything's, fine. I mean, I know that my 3 kids, and I was very slender, not because literally I made sure that my kids were eating before I ever did anything, right? Like, and so a lot of people look and go, oh, you're fine. And I remember lots of times when we would do, for my son's bar mitzvah, we were doing something at the Four Seasons, and we had everybody bring all the stuff for the baskets. And one of the guys at one of the valets slipped us an address. Like, they just had written on a little Post-it note. And they're like, hey, can you take something to this address? And we went to this address to drop off this basket. And it was actually one of the employees, one of the valets. And they had nothing in their apartment, zero, nothing, not a chair, not a couch, not a bed, not anything. So even though on the outside, it looked like that they were a valet at the Four Seasons, right? this person had absolutely nothing. They just wanted to have a roof over their head. That was what was most important for them. Right. And I love what you said, like when you said, why do you do it? And, it's because we can, like, how hard is it to have something in your car to keep if somebody needs something, right? We were talking yesterday about, especially women, that the feminine hygiene products for women. And I was sharing with you the lady that was there, yes. And she goes, like, I stink. She goes, you think I want to stink? I'm stink because I don't have any feminine products, and gets all over me. So I have a question. What do you remember? Was there a moment where you said, that's it, I'm trusting my gut now, I'm not listening to anything? Was there a moment for you when you said, that's it, I'm going to trust my gut and just go for it?
Well, it was a few years ago. It was right before or right around when, that COVID started, I was seeing such a switch around people, like at the grocery store, for instance. My heart broke. I would leave there. I'm not going to crying sometimes, because there was old people like, do you see any toilet paper? There was a man there that I actually said, can you please stay in the parking lot? I'm going to go find you toilet paper. And I went and I said, please don't leave. I checked out and I found him toilet paper there's a little Mexican grocery store that always has everything. And I brought him toilet paper, and I thought he was going to cry. He's like, I have no toilet paper. And he said, and you have to fight to get to the grocery store to get toilet paper. And that's when I said, you know what? I don't care about the designer bags and all going to these events. And I love going to events and doing all that, but my priority is to help others. And, it kind of consumes me sometimes. I get overwhelmed by it. Right. And I think, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I'm not helping enough people. And then I'm like, Melissa, step back. You are helping people. You are just one person. And if I can share with the world what I do, then they can do it too. It doesn't cost that much money. And I ask my friends, like when there was a lady on the street that I adore, 3 boys, straight A students living on the streets in an RV, her generator broke. I texted my friends and said, hey guys, I need $500. I had $500 in my Venmo. So we got her a brand new generator. You have to ask for help.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that, the thing that inspires me, and I love watching you on the calls with all of the other ladies that we have that are coming, because you've seen this beautiful community that's coming together. Like, you guys are going to get together. Those of you that are in LA, and you're going to, I think you're going to do a little video together. But it's true, the power of the community, and people are hungry for a community, but people want to know, just tell me what I need to do, right? They're like it's like, I need you to Venmo me money so I can go get this generator. I know for us, I was doing that I go to Coffee Bean every day, and they were doing a toy drive, and I went inside and I saw there were no toys. And same thing. And the girl goes, Nessa, there's no toys in here. She goes, yeah, Loren. She goes, it's crazy. And none of the Coffee Beans have it. And same thing, right? Like I texted a bunch of people. I'm like, send me money so I can go fill the bins before they go pick them up every day. Right. Like you said, so what would you say to people to just get started and just trust their gut about giving back? What would you say to people?
So look around in your community, because you're going to know that there is need in your community. Every single community needs it. I just found there's this boy that I just adore. So I sell clothes on a site called Depop. The girls give me clothes, and I use all those funds to buy things for my homeless. So it's really enjoyable for me. So and the reason I'm saying this is because I take it to this mailbox place near here in my community. And the kid that owns it with his mom, he's like, what are you selling? And then I told him, and I said, I use the money to help the homeless. He goes, oh my gosh, Melissa, go back here. They need help here at this church. And I was like, oh my gosh. So now I go to that church once a week, and I help them. And they needed men's clothing because it was raining. So they said, hey, Melissa, if you know of anybody that can give us some gently used men's clothing. So I put it on my Facebook. I'm like, hey, I need men's clothing. Nike sent me through one of our friend, Kenzie's friend, men's clothing, brand new men's clothing. But then I got all these donations of men's clothing.
I love that.
From people.
You just have to ask, right? Like, it's just like amazing. So I love it. So like you said, it's that, that trickle effect that we just have no idea the impact that we can make. I know that a big thing, and I really respect you so much it's interesting because you said something, I don't even know if you realize that you said it, like that you said that you take the clothes that the girls give you. So you've already instilled in them the importance of that contribution piece, right?
There's always
so many people. How do you think that that's made them different in this world that they're in, right? As celebrities on their own, what would you say has been different?
Well, it's really funny because I see a lot of kid celebrities growing up, and I see, how they are. And my kids are so very fortunate. But if you would hang out with them, you're like, these kids are celebrities. Like, you wouldn't even believe it. They're very kind and giving. And I love, like, if I'm driving with Mackenzie, she will literally pull off the side of the road and put down her window and hand a couple of dollar bills out to people. And no words are said. Like,
right.
And it's just really sweet. Or she'll grab the water that's in her, cup holder. And she goes, is it okay that I took a sip out? And hands it out to the, for the window. Every time she goes to In-N-Out, she always looks to see what's around, and she'll buy an In-N-Out bag of food. And it's, my kids just automatically do it. And that's what you want. And we just need the world to do that today.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're so important to, be as part of this event with us, this experience for me, because it's always everybody that I know that's part of this. It's like, watch the feet, not the lips. And that's what you do. You are leading by example, and they're looking and saying, I remember once my son, he was young, and he was up for this. He wanted to go to this camp, and they had to do an interview. And I'm like, Josh, you need to do this interview. And I had a Suburban back then. He was in the back with his friends. And I heard him say, my mom. And I'm like, oh my God, what did he say? What did I do? And then he goes, because she does what she says she's going to do. Right. Mm-hmm. And those are the moments, like we say, that make us the proudest, when our kids realize that, that their parents, that we've done something good, right? Like you have done such a great job, because your kids see that you stuck up for them, like at times when it wasn't, the other thing, that you weren't just trying to like fit in to be with everybody else. So how do you own your worth?
Well, I don't know. That's a really good question. How do I own my worth? Well, I use my voice now. That I think using your voice in a way that is powerful, but you don't have to put someone down. If someone is doing something that you don't agree with, you can use your voice in a positive way, because I feel that there's so much bullying on social media, and my family is big on social media because it's unfortunately what you have to do in this day and age. There's a lot of bullying on social media, and I really stand up for other people as well. I think that you need to stand up for other people. Yep. And not just yourself, but for others. You have to be kind to others, not just yourself, not just your inner circle. You can help other people. I think, everyone has to love each other. I mean, that's what I was taught. Love everyone in the world, yeah. And help one another. And I think learning to talk to people. California is a really strange place. Like, you can go in an elevator and see the same people all the time if you're in a building and no one says good morning. Me, I'm like, good morning, good morning. That's how I am. And once you start doing that to others, they do it back to you. And then you make a community, a larger community. Because when people see you helping someone on the street, you know how it is, like when you're at the Starbucks drive-in and someone pays for you, and then you pay for the person behind you, right? And so on and so on and so on. That's how we could be a better place if we do that for each other.
It's so true. As I told you, I go to Coffee Bean all the time, and I was like, they did that one day. It actually started with the Coffee Bean people themselves. They started it in the morning, and it went on for 2 days straight. 2 days straight, right? Like, it's like that, like what, like it really understanding that you really can create a huge huge ripple in the world. And that's what you're doing. So I know that, talk a little bit about the hand notes, because I keep any handwritten note anybody's ever written.
Me too.
To me.
My kids
so talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
So it's funny. My kids always made me all my cards, and they still do. And I love that. I love, like, I don't store-bought cards, but it is a nice, but I love handwritten notes. And I used to write notes to my kids in their school lunch boxes every day. And then I started to make lunches for, homeless people. And I'm like, I love arts and crafts. So I'm just going to start writing love notes to everyone. So it's really fun. I have my friend Jenna that owns a dance studio. She does them for me. She keeps them out, and her kids, when they're on break, they'll make them. And it really means a lot when a homeless person gets a bag lunch and there's a love note inside of it, handwritten.
Yeah.
Because people will say, I saved them all. Like, if you would see people that say, come here, come see my notes. And they have stacks of our notes.
Oh, wow.
I think it makes them feel like a human, because
they matter, they matter. Mm-hmm. And you never know someone's story. I remember, I remember once that there was something, when the recession happened here in Las Vegas, right? And I took the boys down we went to one of the missions, and there was a man, he put like his jacket over him. And I didn't understand why he put his jacket over. And it turned out it was somebody who had been a very big professional here in Las Vegas. And, and his son went to school with my eldest. And so he didn't want to see, someone to see him. But tell me some of the wonderful, beautiful stories of people that you've seen, like maybe, like you said, like you just shared about the love notes, that they keep those love notes, just like us, right? Like, you have no idea the impact that you make just through a note. Is there a story about someone in particular that you can remember about a note?
Yeah. So there's these 4 old guys, and I love them. They're like, oh my gosh, they're just my favorite. They're the boys club. Okay. And they live on the streets, and they always have the football game on their phone. And I always make them extra cookies, and they have lots of love notes. And they have all these dogs, these really old dogs. And whenever they see me, they're like, Blondie, because, and it makes me feel so good. And, I hug everybody and I touch everybody. And a lot of these people don't get showers. And the guy said to me, you're never afraid to touch me. And I was like, why would I be afraid to touch you? I was just like, why? And he's like, that was a really good answer. That's what he said to me. And they were all, they're all vets. They were vets, and they're living on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have,
but like you said, but what I love about that is that the vets understand the power of community, right? They talk so many times about vets that actually want to go back into combat because at least they had some sense of purpose. But what I love about what those 4 guys sticking together, like you said, is they knew that they were going to be all right if they had that community, right? Mm-hmm. And you have built very much of an intentional community of people of this contribution. So what's your big vision? If you were to look at yourself 10 years from now, what would you say a big vision for you is 10 years from now as your legacy continues?
I would think 10 years from now, I would love to have a really, really awesome facility in LA somewhere for people to actually be able to grocery shop for free, and actually not be handed a bag. Yeah. Be able to go with a cart and be able to pick whatever you want off the shelves and leave without paying for it. A place for them to lay their head at night. Affordable housing. I wish there was something I could do. We have a new mayor. There is not affordable housing in LA. So that's why there's construction workers living on the street. They're the kindest people, but it's really expensive to live here. I feel that just helping more people in need, feeding more people. We need to feed more people, educate them, get these kids to be able to go to a school, get them to school, get them to, just all their needs met, basic needs that you and I take for granted. Yeah,
absolutely. It's interesting. Today's would have been my dad's 93rd birthday. And my dad started the housing authority. in the
Which is
60s
amazing.
when it wasn't, in our hometown, where it wasn't like the thing to do, right? And we got a lot of it was not, there were a lot of death threats, for her family. There were a lot of things, but like you said, that he really trusted his God, and he said, why wouldn't I do this? I know what to do. I know the people to contact to really. And at my dad's funeral, the very first people to show up were all the guys who, some of the first ones who, lived in that housing, or guys who worked on the board with them, because it's like, you gave us a chance, right? People just there's something that's called human dignity, right? And so what can we do to really create that human dignity? I love that you mentioned about I want to just an organization, as you know, part of the event of what we're going to be doing on April the 2nd is we're going to go into the community, and all the ladies that are there live with us, they're going to have an opportunity to go work with some of these smaller organizations, and a small organization here that does exactly something that you said. I want to make sure you meet them. It's called Angels of Las Vegas. And so it's people with cancer, and they get to go in, and they have a pantry, like you said, that food's not given to them. There's shelves there. They can pick out whatever that they want, and they get that. It's not a handout, right? But it's a hand up, with regards to that. So that's beautiful. So, well, let's make it happen. I'm sure together with all of the people that are going to be, part of this. I mean, we're really here to create that intentional community. I love just like your heart. I love what you stand for, and that you're making such a huge difference in the community, and that your daughters are seeing, wow, we're going to continue this legacy with our mom, with regards to it. What would you say to the moms that are out there right now, of young girls that maybe have, social media, like you said, it's a whole different world, but your daughters and you, as well, all of you as a family, I think have done it with such grace and elegance. What would you say to moms out there of young girls, and how to embrace this, but use it for a greater good?
Well, I feel that moms need to actually watch what their kids are doing. I feel like today it's just easier to let your kids do whatever they want. Now, my kids, I was like, it's really funny. They joke and say I'm a helicopter mom, but I'm so close with my kids. I've already talked to them both around 4 or 5 times today, and it's only 11 something. But I think that you need to talk to your child about what the world is going through. Social media. Don't trust people on social media. Don't make friends with people that you think that are your friends on social media. I feel that kids today don't have, I'm trying to say this nicely. Teach your kid to be kind. And it's a shame that we have to teach our kids to be kind, because my mom never taught me to be kind. If you weren't nice, and we didn't have bullying when I was in school. These kids have to deal with bullying, their what they look like on social media, body image, all this. We never had to deal with that as children. But I think that moms have to continue to open dialogue with their kids and communicate with them. My kids tell me almost everything, which of course a kid's not going to tell you everything, but we have such an open dialogue to talk, and I think it's really important to
and I think that goes back to trust, right? And trust goes both ways. I remember that, like we say that our kids should trust us, but we need to make sure that it goes both ways, with regards to, and it seems like that's really what you've built. I know that's an important thing for me, and I realized when my kids weren't telling me certain things, right, I had to look at myself, right? I had to look at myself though, and realize like what part don't they trust about me?
Absolutely.
And so that I can earn that trust back.
That's a good point, Loren. That's so true.
Right? Like it's like, what did I do to break the trust? And that people are hungry for that trust again. I think that in community, I think you and I were talking about it. I can't remember, but we're talking about how that we had a lot more guy friends than we did girlfriends, and I don't know. I think that if the world's really going to get better, we need to have more trust with women, with each other, to really be able to make the lasting change that needs to happen in this world. Because I'm like you, I feel like the world needs a big hug right now, right? And it's good that it's going to be okay. But if it's going to be okay, then we have to stop the bullying. We have to stop the harassment. We have to stop all these things. And the only way that's going to happen, and my goal with regards to us working together and creating together, and like you said, introducing to me to Danielle, for us to keep this momentum going, is that it's got to be women trusting each other again.
And that's a good point, because I think women, are so against women. And it's really funny. Right before our call, my friend Jeanette, she was on some episodes of Dance Moms. She texted me because my daughter has a new song out today. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love it. She goes, I'm so proud of her. I love you and I miss you guys. I'm just so proud of her. And she was a woman texting a woman. And you know what? Kudos to Jeanette, because she's really that.
Yeah.
She never is jealous of another woman. I mean, she's beautiful, gorgeous, and great, but it's just amazing. And that's what women have to do with each other. Yep. And I wanted to say something about my organization, Spread the Cheer. I think that people could do this around their community as well. I'm on a board of, amazing, but Spread the Cheer. And we did the most amazing thing for Christmas. We were able to provide a beautiful Christmas for 30 people, 30 families in need all across the country. And people don't realize that their neighbor next door might need help. Try to learn your neighbor, meet your neighbors, see their needs, and then you can find out if they need help, and you can do it in a way you're doing it. Yeah. Say, oh my gosh, I made this casserole and I made too much. Here, would you like one? I know that sounds really, really simple. It is simple. Help your community, your local people, and you can find out in school if there's any families that are struggling, because a lot of parents don't want other people to know.
Right. Yeah. I remember here in Las Vegas, I think we're in the 5th largest school district in the country. And I think that there's when you go and you register for public school, you have to check. You have to say, do you live in a house? Do you live in an apartment?
Oh.
Do you live? It says, but let me keep telling you what it says. It says, do you live in a house? Do you live in an apartment? Do you live in a car? Do you live on the street? Do you live? And I think there's, Title I, which are children that live below the poverty level. And then there's Title I Hope. And those are kids, that don't have housing. And that's another, some things that we're going to be working with here. A lot of the high schoolers. So there's an organization here called Project 150, and they work with those kids. You just never know, like you said, you just never know what's going on with somebody. My neighbor, I live in a nice community here. It is, but I was out of town for a couple of weeks, and this new couple had moved in about 6 months before. And I met them, they were working out in their garage or something. They'd set up like a gym in their garage, and I just went by and started talking to them. And he was from New York and she was a doctor and this and that. And I'm like, and I bought an orchid, and I kept meaning to take the orchid by their house. And I just didn't take the orchid by their house. And I went out of town, and then I came back. I'm like, it was 5 houses up for me. I was like, I really need to freaking take that orchid to their house. Well, there's rumor that an ambulance had come and the whole thing, and I didn't know what had happened. Well, I went back up there, and it turned out that the lady had passed away. And I took the orchid up there, and I'm like, hey, this is for you and your wife. And he goes, my wife passed away. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. He said, she passed away, and she was young. She was in her 50s. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, you know what, Loren, like you said, like, you never know. And, I was like, hey, come over for dinner, come meet us. I'm like, well, why didn't I take the time to do that before? It was 30 steps for me to walk to their house, with regards to it. So those moments, like you say, like the moment for you that really, really shape us, and getting to, like you said, like getting to know people again, get to you and get curious and start to ask questions. Well, I'm so excited to have you. Can you talk a little bit about Spread the Cheer as well? Because I want everybody to know about Spread the Cheer. Yes. It's going to be 2 weeks after our event, so we're going to really keep the momentum going with regards to that.
It's so awesome. We are doing an amazing party. I'm calling it a party, but it's an awards banquet. We're also having like a nightclub. We're doing like all this really fun activities for a whole weekend. And it's it's spreading positivity through social media. So we are giving awards to these amazing people. Last year, I don't know if you cried, but when people got their awards, it's for people that are doing good in the communities. Yeah. And I think that it's really important because you don't realize, I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff on social media, but there's so much good stuff on social media that people are doing. They're going around helping others. They're providing them with food, sometimes housing, which is amazing, and just helping people in the community. So what we're doing is we're saying thank you and acknowledging these people, and letting other people see what they do. And it's a great community because everyone gets so intertwined and connected, and you make so many friends. And our board, like I talked to Danielle today, and I was like, I cannot believe what an amazing group of people we have. We all care about each other and help each other and love each other. And we just want good for the world. And we're like, oh, what can we do to help? That's what she always asks. And I love that. And I think people need to start asking people, oh, what can I do to help?
Absolutely.
How simple is that?
Yep.
And someone could say, oh, I'm good, I don't need anything. Or, oh my gosh, it would be so great if you would pick up some groceries for me. We don't have any cereal for my kids or bread or milk.
Yep. Yeah.
Just ask someone.
That's right. We always say questions are the answers, right? So just ask a question. It's funny. I just thought about something that we need to be a part of this. I'll have to ask him, but I'm just going to say it right here on our podcast. Why not? My son, my middle son, really good friends with a young gentleman he brought home. I guess it would have been about 5 years ago. He brought him over here, and he had this big weight loss thing. And then Nike did a commercial about him. And I'm sure you've heard of him now because all he does is he goes around and helps people. Charlie. And so yes. Charlie is, I remember when he came here to the house, and he was just sharing so much about, he's from Atlanta, and his mom.
Love him.
Really, really, is just so much he gives credit to his mom just for always instilling as well the importance of giving back. So once again, and like you said, like he goes out there now and he's helping people start their businesses and food trucks and getting houses and doing that as one person, right? And that's all it takes. It's just having the courage to just go out there and, like you said, what can I do to help? What can I do to serve the greater good? You never know. You never know. And and the other thing I think that we can really help people with is not waiting to when I have a certain whatever, then I'm going to get started, right? Like I think a lot of people go, well, when I make this amount of money, then I'll get started and I'll start to donate. And like
it'll never happen.
It'll never happen.
It's just like, I'm going to have a baby when I have money. It's never going to happen. Just have the baby.
Just have the baby. So what can people, so I know about Spread the Cheer. It's going to be 2 weeks after the event that you're going to be doing with us and On Your Worth. You're part of the 100 Billion Meals Project. And just really like one meal adds up. I remember when I first met Tony Robbins, I was at his very first basket brigade in November 1989. And we went and we made baskets for, I think, maybe like 50 people. And I know his goal next year was like 100 people, right? And then it became 1,000 people. And then the community just grew. And now it's 100 billion meals. I mean, that's in 33 years. That's pretty lofty, beautiful goals. But like you said, when you build that community and when people know that they're a part of that community, how fast that it can really grow. And that there, like you said, there is negativity, but there's a lot of great things that are happening. And that if we just help spread the cheer, we help spread the word, we help people really own their worth and own who they are and own that they matter. And I just really want to thank you for raising such extraordinary women who in their own right are doing it, but you're doing it so much. They looked and they said, that's my mom. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. And so thank you. And I can't wait for everybody to meet you live and in person and also virtually, and also just, really for us to keep spreading the, what we can do to make the world a better place. So
yes, we need to make the world a better place, and women supporting women. Come on, people, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I love you.
I do. Yeah.
How awesome was today? Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and invite your friends to join as well. I'm here for you with fabulous content, great guests, and lots of giveaways. To learn more of how I have taken what I've learned, applied it to my life, helped others find their true voice, text TRUE to 26786, which will give you my top tune-ups and a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with one of our coaches. And remember, keep in touch with me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav, Facebook Loren Lahav Official, Clubhouse Loren Lahav. Make sure you text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. Text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. And remember to always stay true to the amazing person you are.